This is a football podcast, man. Meat, football, good. Man, we talk football. We eat burgers.
Welcome back, one and all, to Scramble Drill. I am back from my mini hiatus there for about a week.
Yeah, where'd you go?
I went to the Alps. I did a retreat.
Backpacking through Tibet.
Exactly. Came back with a baby. You know how it goes.
Everybody's been there. We've all had to cross that bridge.
Yeah, Haley went and gave birth to our son, and we are back and, continuing on with programming as usual here at Scramble Drill HQ.
And she did it during football season. She had to wait right until football season started.
Man, we got to watch Ravens-Chiefs in the hotel room, and that was the first time in a very long time I have stayed up and watched an entire primetime game from start to finish. Usually, third quarter, I'm tapping out. I'll check the score in the morning, but
that's the difference between you and me, Josh. I don't tap out.
I know.
You can guarantee I'm watching that whole game, and then I'm going to bed right after, but I'm gonna be on Twitter for another hour, kind of thing. So, yeah, not a healthy habit, but
there's something very motivating about having a baby crying to just keep you awake. And so it was awesome because I could just hold him, and then the game was on. And so I'm holding him, watching the game, and it happens to be Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and it was a thriller at that. It was just a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
It was so good. So anyways, week 1 has come and gone, and there's a lot of things I think we can take away from week 1. A lot of times we say in fantasy football, you're obviously playing the guessing game, but week 1 tends to solidify or completely, have some takes go in the trash can.
Week 1 is a weird week.
It is. I remember last year, this was the Cam Akers is going to be a stud finally year, and then he had no touches at all, and Kyron Williams was, king of the hill from the jump. Weird stuff happens. So it's always fun to talk about these different things and the surprises, the things that maybe we didn't expect, but even more than that, what we can do with the information we've got moving forward, because I think there's a lot of really, really interesting things we can dive into here.
Yeah. And it'll be cool, too, to see, because Landon and I did the Dynasty episode yesterday. And I guess the biggest takeaway from that Dynasty episode is nothing changes Dynasty value after week 1. But as we talk through this, for redraft, things definitely change.
For sure. Are you ready? Let's go game by game and hit these bad boys one by one.
Let's do it.
Number 1, Ravens-Chiefs on Thursday night. Chiefs ended up winning 27-20. And I think the headline of this game was that Isaiah Likely went for 100-plus yards. He had 9 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. And Mark Andrews seemed like he was basically non-existent. And Twitter freaked out.
Not gonna lie, I kind of freaked out.
I did too.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming.
I was very high on Mark Andrews coming into this year, and to a certain point still am. But this is weird and concerning for a little bit. I will say, in defense of Mark Andrews, I don't have the stat in front of me, but I did see where somebody found the stats. He did play more snaps, and I think he ran more routes than Isaiah Likely too.
He did.
That being said, he blocked a whole lot more, and I'm hopeful that it's just because the Chiefs have an amazing pass rush.
Yeah, it is weird. I will say this, though. When Mark Andrews was injured last year, Isaiah Likely came in and performed incredibly well. His finishes, I've got him pulled up, In the last 5 weeks of the season, we're tight end 4, tight end 4, tight end 20, tight end 2, and tight end 8. So 4 of 5 weeks, he was a top 10 tight end. 3 of 5 weeks, he was a top 5 tight end. So it's not like we're completely blindsided by the fact that Isaiah Likely is good. It's just surprising because Mark Andrews was also on the field and Isaiah Likely was good. That hadn't happened before. And so I guess the question moving forward is, do we attribute Mark Andrews not showing up to this is like a lingering sort of injury thing? He's still recovering from maybe the broken leg or something. I don't know. Or is this the Ravens threw the ball 41 times, which is, I think, more than every game but one last season. So this is like a 2% kind of outcome in terms of how much they were throwing the ball. And it just so happened to be that Isaiah Likely was benefiting, and it was kind of a one-off sort of thing. I don't know. I don't really have a take yet. I don't know how you're landing there.
Yeah, I'm not full blown panicking yet like some people are. I will say it's got me concerned. I'm tempering expectations a little bit for Mark Andrews, but I'm not freaking out either. As I think we did learn Isaiah Likely, not that we learned it, we already knew it, but Isaiah Likely is a very good football player. But so was Mark Andrews. It was a weird game script. Mark Andrews was on the field. He was blocking a lot. I don't know how much health played into it or not. Keep in mind, he did play at the end of last year. He played in the AFC Championship, so the leg shouldn't be a problem. Now, he did have a car accident right before the season, kept him out like the last couple weeks of training camp. Maybe that's factoring in. I don't know. But, yeah, it's a blip I've got on my radar, but I'm not going to freak out and say Mark Andrews is declining either. He just turned 29.
The other thing I think I found out and I was curious about, and maybe this should probably not be surprising whatsoever, but it's the passing pie for the Ravens is contained to 3 receiving options. It's going to be Zay Flowers, Likely, or Mark Andrews, and that is it. I know Rashad Bateman had a nice play in there, but he was not much of a factor. And I truly just might be right. It's still. It just might be a thing where Isaiah Likely ends up being more of a sort of flex tight end kind of player than a true tight end. And they just run 2 tight ends, and they just run 2 tight end sets, and he's just involved moving forward. And maybe it's Andrews and Likely both coexist and are pretty interesting for fantasy, and Zay Flowers is like the only other receiving option worth looking at.
Yeah. I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on. Also, Derrick Henry, not the workload everybody was hoping for.
No, he did get the touchdown, which was predictable, but.
And I saw a post, somebody said that they interviewed Harbaugh or something today, and he said we didn't bring Derrick Henry in to get 30 carries a game. So, not that I guess we were expecting that anyway, but maybe that's a tell to what the Ravens are envisioning here in Derrick Henry maybe genuinely is only a red zone option.
I think, too, people are probably going to overreact to that just because, it wasn't a lot of work. But it is worth remembering that the Ravens do not throw the ball as much as they threw the ball on Thursday night. 41 attempts would have been the most for any game Lamar Jackson had last season except one against the Rams in Week 14. They just don't throw the ball 40-plus times. So yeah. I think it's fair to look at Week 1 and say that might be the most they throw the ball in any game the rest of the season. And so Derrick Henry's not the third down back. That's Justice Hill. And Justice Hill had sort of an inflated snap count because they were throwing the ball more. They were down. It was a game script where that was going to happen. So I would not worry about Derrick Henry. If you are worried, I would feel fine. Like, I have no change in how I view Derrick Henry moving forward.
Yeah. What about the Chiefs side?
There's one specific thing I think is incredibly interesting that came from this. For me, the standout was Rashee Rice having 100 yards and 9 targets.
He was my guy.
Yep. I wanted to see his role in the offense. I really wanted to see him, Travis Kelce, and how they were going to coexist. Was it going to be the sort of thing where Rashee Rice, now that they've added other weapons, kind of fades a little bit, and he's no longer a featured part of the offense? And it seemed that he was absolutely still a featured part of the offense. And I think you could argue that as Travis Kelce is aging, Rashee Rice is the feature in the offense moving forward. And while Xavier Worthy is extremely explosive, we saw that, and Hollywood Brown brings an explosive element, I think Rashee Rice is going to be kind of the cog in the passing game where you can count on him week in and week out.
Yeah. And not to discredit what Rashee Rice was doing the whole time, and this probably is an advantage to his fantasy outlook, but he didn't really do a whole lot of creative things. But with what the Chiefs now have on offense with their additions, and you've got Pacheco and a good O-line running the ball, you still got Kelce, and now you've got Xavier Worthy on the outside, and Hollywood is going to come back and add it even more. Rice just kept running that little slant on the inside on a linebacker. It was like Michael Thomas out there, prime Michael Thomas, and they couldn't stop it because you can't pull anyone else over to Rashee Rice in that game, because then you've got to deal with Xavier Worthy on the outside.
Yeah. That's the thing with this offense is you can't double anyone. And if you decide going into a week that we're going to shut down this one aspect of the offense, there's going to be some other aspect of the offense that's going to absolutely destroy you. So you really do have to pick your poison, and I think that will help. I mean, it'll help everybody, but I think it will help Rice, Kelce over the middle because the field is stretched for the defense.
Yep. And it was exciting to see Xavier Worthy. You saw the speed. You saw the long touchdown ability. Volume wasn't there yet, so please don't overreact to it. But it's nice to see it confirmed, like, oh, yeah, he's actually a good football player, too.
Yeah. Let's go over here to Packers-Eagles, the Friday night game in Brazil. I have a couple things I took away from this. Obviously, the main one is Jordan Love got injured. Truly the main takeaway for me, the only thing that I was kind of like paying attention to, not necessarily surprised by, but intrigued to see, was that Jaden Reed appeared to be pretty much as advertised. I think he finished with 4 catches, 138 yards, and a touchdown.
He also had
not
a
a high volume role. Yeah, crazy touchdown. Not a high volume role, but still explosive. And so it seems, I guess, he's the guy to have in the offense. Now, Jordan Love's going to be out a few weeks, so that will change things, but still.
Yeah, he wasn't, like you said, dominant on a market share, I guess. I mean, he had 6 targets, Romeo Doubs had 7, Christian Watson had 5, and there was a lot of other guys that just got like 2 or 3 in the offense. But if you actually sat down and watched the game, watched what was happening on the field, it is beyond clear he's the best player they have.
Yeah, he's obviously the most talented. Christian Watson, I think, could have gotten there, but he's just never on the field. And Jaden Reed, I think, has that number one guy. If you've got to peg a guy as the number one, it's going to be Jaden Reed.
Yeah. Your boy Dontavian Wicks, 3 targets, no catches.
Yeah, didn't do much. We'll wait and see on Dontavian Wicks. I would have really liked to see him kind of usurp Romeo Doubs, but that did not happen at all. So we'll see. I don't know. Christian Watson did only have 3 catches for 13 yards, so it wasn't like he was very good either, but it's a spread out passing attack.
Yeah.
For the Eagles, only thing worth noting for me, Saquon Barkley was excellent.
I mean, we've known this He's just been held back by one of the worst offenses in football. So now you have put him on one of the best offenses in football, and he got you 130 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Any
I think
more
a lot of
questions
people
you
were
wanna
worried
ask?
about a lot of people were worried about the tush push kind of preventing him from scoring touchdowns. And I remember
push
we
wasn't
said in
even
the
there.
offseason, yeah, didn't exist. I remember saying in the offseason, guys, special players make special plays. I didn't want to say the tush push was going to go away, but it was still like, guys, Saquon Barkley is going to score touchdowns. Like, it'll be okay. And this probably was more than what you even would expect, but still, it was nice to see.
Yeah, it was. Boy, if he stays healthy, this is going to be scary.
Oh, he
Jalen
will
Hurts,
be in
I would like to
contention
say,
for RB1.
not necessarily fantasy, but he didn't look amazing in that game.
He did not. No. And his 2 top receivers still performed. But he didn't look great.
Well, I mean, A.J. Brown, 120 yards and the touchdown, 10 targets. Devonta Smith, 7 catches, 84, 8 targets. You know what these two guys are at this point. They're both excellent. They both would be wide receiver ones on pretty much any other team outside of a couple. It's an embarrassment of riches the Eagles have right now.
Yeah. All right. Steelers, Falcons. Steelers won this 18-10.
I would like to skip this, please.
I'm sure you have takes because I have none. I have 0 takes about this game.
I mean, where to start? Ray McLeod is the top receiver on Atlanta, apparently. He had 7 targets. Bijan had 5. I would have been upset that Kyle Pitts only had 3 targets if it weren't for the fact that Drake London also only had 3 targets. Boys, what are we doing?
It was a weird game.
What are we doing?
If you're gonna take anything away from this, it's that Kirk Cousins is still rusty coming off the injury. But at the same time, the Steelers defense might be the best defense in the NFL, and I'm willing to kind of overlook this stinker of a performance unless things continue in this trend of like, oh, Kirk Cousins kind of stinks now. Then I'll be concerned. But right now, I'm like, I'll let it slide.
Yeah, I'm annoyed. I will say that, but I want to see them if they bounce back against if they bounce back against the Eagles. I'll feel okay. T.J. Watt was not the best player in this game. He was the best player in all of football on Sunday, bar anyone else. He played the best game, any position. It was. I mean, we had no answer for T.J. Watt. None whatsoever.
No, he
and then
destroyed y'all.
I got a couple. The last one for Atlanta, I'll say, is I wasn't worried, but I feel like some people might have been worried. Bijan Robinson's role is a full-on workhorse back role this year. He had 18 carries to Tyler Allgeier's 3, plus the 5 catches for 43 yards. Didn't have a touchdown, which stinks, but the whole offense was bad overall. So the workload, the efficiency, the targets, I think we're good to lock in Bijan now, right, guys? Everybody's cool with that? We're good?
Yeah, he's locked in. He'll be just fine, folks.
The Steelers were weird. Justin Fields didn't play amazing. Didn't do anything incredibly stupid. The rushing volume's there, so you got to start him.
You know, I was wondering that, looking in a couple leagues, Justin Fields is on waivers, and I was thinking to myself, is he worth a pickup? And probably to a certain extent he is, because the rushing volume is there. But still, he did not look good as a quarterback in the new system with new things around him. And so I think it's just, he is what we think he is, a very subpar quarterback with elite athletic traits. And I don't know how long that lasts as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. Najee Harris, workhorse
Oh,
role. He had 20 carries. And I know Jalen Warren was a little banged up. Jalen Warren 2, Cordell Patterson 4. Yeah, Najee Harris. And then I think it's time to move. A lot of people you and I were both a little slow to do it. Is it time to move George Pickens up the board at all?
No.
7 targets, 6 catches, 80 yards.
No, I don't think so. We all knew he was the focal point in the offense, but the question was going to be how good is the offense? I still don't think the offense is all that good. And
it didn't score a touchdown, and they won by almost 2 scores.
Right. Yeah. Wait and see. Wait and see on him. I think the role is what we thought it was, and the offense kind of looks like what we thought it was, and he happened to have a good week. I still would like to see more.
Yeah. We'll see.
Cardinals,
He's
Bills.
probably going to get another start.
Say that again?
Got a lot. I was just finishing he's probably going to get another start, so we'll see.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Cardinals, Bills.
This one.
What a game. Any initial takeaways other than the very, very obvious one that was super weird?
I believe the downfall of Josh Allen without Stephon Diggs was greatly exaggerated, I believe, is fair to say now. He came out and completed 79% of his passes, threw for 230 yards, rushed for another 30 yards, 4 total touchdowns. I think when everyone was trying to write him off, we forgot, he actually is one of the best quarterbacks in football. So put some respect back on Josh Allen's name, guys.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's still the quarterback one in Dynasty, still the quarterback one in redraft,
in
all
fantasy
formats.
Period.
In fantasy. Yeah, period. Point blank. The thing with the passing attack was that I kind of thought the passing pie would be a little bit more condensed than it ended up being. We've got, let's see here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different players caught passes, or were targeted, by Josh Allen. And the leading target earner was Keon Coleman with 5. So it was a weird Sunday, and Dalton Kincaid had 1 catch for 11 yards. So
2 targets.
Yeah, I thought that was odd.
And granted,
I don't know.
well, it wasn't like the passing volume was crazy either. He only threw 23 passes.
Right. But I guess when you score 34 points, it was incredibly efficient. I guess when you score 30-plus points, I sort of expected Dalton Kincaid to be much more involved than he was. And maybe it was just a fluke. I don't know. But it was just an odd result.
Yeah, I'm not panicking yet either on that. It was, and the Cardinals are not an incredibly difficult opponent either, so they're gonna have to end up relying on him more. But I might be completely out of pocket saying this, but I do feel like once who's their Bills offensive coordinator? Why is his name escaping me here?
It's escaping me
From
as well.
Joe Brady.
Joe Brady.
When Joe Brady took over last year, I do feel like they condensed it down to a more rushing focused attack. Josh Allen did spread the ball around a lot towards the end of last year, and they just were more efficient rather than let's be explosive and throw the ball to Stephon Diggs 20 times a game and see what happens. So
yeah,
I guess maybe we kind of should have expected a little bit more of this. Now, I'm not saying I expect Dalton Kincaid to only have 2 or 3 targets and he split stuff with Dawson Knox every week, but maybe temper it just a little bit just with how more efficiency focused maybe the offense looks like it's leaning towards.
Yeah. For the Cardinals, the big headline is Marvin Harrison Jr. has 1 catch for 4 yards on a measly 3 targets. And I don't know what to tell you.
Greg Dortch at 8.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't know what happened here.
Honestly, I don't either. I do feel like maybe people put too high expectations on some of the rookies because we've kind of gotten spoiled lately. When you've got Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua all coming out and rewriting the record book 3 consecutive years for rookie wide receivers. And, you got running backs and quarterbacks coming out like C.J. Stroud and just destroying records. Not every rookie's going to do that. And even though we both think Marvin Harrison Jr. is incredible, there might be an adjustment period with him. So, and I took a victory lap in yesterday's episode with Landon. We can take another one here. We didn't like his price in redraft where he was going in the early second round, sometimes mid-second round. But even then, there can't be any slow start if you're taking him at that price. And maybe it's going to take him a little bit to get on his feet. Maybe the chemistry with Kyler Murray's not there. I don't know. I didn't get to watch the whole game, so I know there's the play on social media. Everybody's freaking out, like where at the end of the game he was behind the Bills defense. And everyone's like, "Why didn't Kyler throw it?" I don't know all that went into it, but it's weird, man. It's weird.
Yeah, maybe the consolation here is that Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison are the 2 outside receivers in the offense. They combined for 5 targets, whereas Greg Dortch, the slot, and Trey McBride, the tight end, combined for 17. So it could just be that Kyler Murray did not want to throw outside the numbers, and he just wanted to throw over the middle of the field, and Trey McBride and Greg Dortch happened to be the game plan. I don't know.
And you got a defensive head coach on the other side for the Bills. He is a good defensive coach as well. So I could see him, they're talking about Marvin Harrison, how this world beater, he's better than Jamar Chase, all this kind of stuff. And Sean McDermott says, all right, he's not getting the ball.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'm just projecting. Maybe I'm putting stories that aren't there, but the Bills are a good defense too. So I'm not panicking yet, but my panic meter it's a little bit more concerning than it was with somebody like Mark Andrews. I'm a little more worried, like maybe a 4 out of 10.
Fair. Anything else on the Cardinals? Because I have nothing else.
No, I mean, James Conner did James Conner things. I was annoyed about Kyler because Kyler had like 14 points in the first half and finished the game with like 15 points. So it made me mad because I get a lot of Kyler this year. So great.
I'm right there with you, dude. In all my redraft leagues, I have taken Kyler Murray.
It sucks. It stings.
Yeah, not great. Okay, Titans, Bears. Let's see here.
Weird game.
Headlines on this one probably are that Caleb Williams had less than 100 yards passing and the Bears won. A special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown will do that for you. But I think overall the Bears offense just looked pretty bad. I mean, the rushing game was not good. Passing game was not good. Honestly, Caleb Williams was not very good either. But
No,
I don't
he
know
looked
how much stock I
uncomfortable
put
back
into
there.
it.
He looked uncomfortable. But
He did. He
again,
looked like he was trying.
It's
Sorry, go
like
ahead.
no, you're good. It's again we have these crazy expectations. There might be an adjustment period with him. It's not hard knocks in the preseason anymore. The Titans have a good defense, so I don't know. Maybe it's just going to take some time to get his feet under him.
Yeah, and on the other side, Will Levis lost the Titans this game.
Oh yeah,
throwing
they started
second
out
half interceptions.
hot. And then
they were
the
up
defense
20
and special
what were they up?
teams just it was 17-3 at halftime, and the Bears defense and special teams just took over that game in the second half.
Yeah. This is honestly why I thought the Bears were a sleepy,
I still think they could
I don't
be.
know.
I mean, Caleb
Yeah,
Williams
there's-
had a sloppy bad game and they won.
Right. They are a feisty team come playoff time just because I think the defense is excellent. And they performed that way end of season last year, and it looks like they're picking up right where they left off. The offense doesn't have to be great. Obviously, you would hope Caleb Williams is much better than he was. You can't have your offense scoring 10 points every week and expecting to win many games, but still, they're pretty exciting.
I will note injury things to pay attention to. I think Keenan Allen got banged up in the game. Roma Dunze has a grade 1 knee sprain, which is week to week. So fire up DJ Moore.
Yes. Keenan Allen pulled up in the end zone with a hamstring. So
this doesn't surprise us. Keenan's had injuries for the past 3 years.
He's had that injury forever.
Yeah.
His hamstrings are 87 years old. That one is probably going to linger.
Yeah, so I don't want it for Keenan. I was hoping to see the Bears offense at full strength, but it is what it is.
Let's go to the Patriots and Bengals. Let's talk about the winners first, because winners have earned the right to be talked about first. The only thing worth talking about on the winners is Ramondre Stevenson having 120 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's it.
That's great. Outside of that, there's really nothing here. None of the receivers looked good. But
yeah, I like what
exciting.
happened. I like what happened with Ramondre. I think his volume is very safe now. I will say, obviously, the game script was very much in a Ramondre Stevenson favor, with it being a tight game. They were leading for most of it, got to run the ball a lot. So that definitely helped him.
Right. On the other side of things, your favorite son, Joe Burrow and company, struggled mightily and only put up 10 points in this one.
Can we get it to where all of them play in, or at least go to training camp? It's either Joe Burrow misses for the past 2 years missing training camp, or this year T. Higgins and Jamar Chase decide they don't need to go to training camp. And speaking of T. Higgins, I defend this guy all off season. Dynasty, redraft, even got it to where you've come around on him. You like his price where he's at.
Yeah.
And this Joker is not playing in week 1 with the hamstring. It's looking like he's not going to play in week 2 in the hamstring. Maybe he's just like, we know he's going to miss 4 games every year. Maybe he's just going to go ahead and get it out of the way. Get the first 4 games missed done, and then play the back half of the season. I'd be okay with that.
You know what it was, though? It was that, yes, he missed the game, and that was bad. It was the late announcement that he was going to miss the game that really made it bad, because everybody with all this PTSD starts freaking out.
Me. And I'm more invested because I've been like the spokesman of like, T. Higgins is great. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah. No, the T. Higgins Express has a fat head of you on it.
Yeah. You're welcome, T. I'm the only person keeping your value up.
And this is how he repays you.
I hate it. Joe Burrow at least was efficient, quote unquote. They were anemic, could not throw the ball downfield. Jamar Chase, I mean, he had to have been. I didn't get to watch the game, but I'm assuming he was limited in his routes ran. Still caught all 6 of his targets. Still an elite receiver. He's the one I'm least worried about in this offense, especially if T. Higgins is going to miss time, because he's only going to get more and more involved. But Zach Taylor's got to make some adjustments, because this offense is not good the way it is. Because all they do, there's no creativity, there's no scheming guys open. They just line up and they do their little dink and dunk stuff. And Burrow can do this. I mean, 21 to 29 is pretty efficient, but there was no deep attack whatsoever.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be like this for another week or two as they get their sea legs under them. Because this is the thing, right? The Bengals start seasons extremely slow and then round into form. Every year.
that your dog yelling in the background?
Yeah, he's also mad that the Bengals are anemic on offense.
Yeah. So, but anyway, they got to get their act together quick because they don't get to take on the Chiefs in Week 14 when they're on like a 9-game winning streak. They play the Chiefs in like 4 days.
Let's go over here to the Texans and Colts. There's a lot of things we can get to with this one. I don't know where you want to start.
Let's go ahead and I will start with the big one. Your boy, Anthony Richardson. Only completed 9 passes, less than 50%. Put up a remarkable fantasy game.
Anthony Richardson was the best and the worst of Anthony Richardson in this game. And it didn't matter.
It's a repeatable performance. He can do this every week.
It did not matter at the end of the day because his fantasy numbers are excellent because he had 3 touchdowns. He had 56 yards rushing and a touchdown. And he had 9 completions for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, both of which were 50-plus yard bombs. And honestly, with like 2 or 3 more accurate throws, he might have had 300 yards and like 4 touchdowns passing. I mean, Adonai Mitchell was open on a couple that Richardson missed. The drive where he threw the interception, he missed Adonai Mitchell on a touchdown, and then like 2 plays later threw a pick. So it could have been a lot better than it was, and it was still great. So
he made the best plays and the by far worst plays of this game as well.
Yes. Yeah, it was so wild because I would text you and be like, did you see what he just did? And then you'd be like, you mean the thing that was awful that he just did? And I was like, no. 2 plays before that, the one that was amazing.
Did you see the 60-yard touchdown? And then, I saw where he overthrew Adonai Mitchell by 60 yards, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. He's so exciting. And, it is pretty repeatable because he was bad and awesome at the same time.
So if he ever has a good real-life game, who knows what could happen?
And I think it is worth noting Shane Steichen is the offensive guru here. And I don't know. I think he will sort of help cover up the accuracy deficiencies that are here.
Yeah.
And still allow him to just throw bombs.
Yeah. I will say, now that as long as he can stay healthy, Anthony Richardson is a locked-in top 3 quarterback. I'd say it's Allen, Hurts, and Richardson, and that's your tier 1 right now. I think it's those guys in tier 1 without another option.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say. If you can be this bad and this good in a game, it's such a weird game. Players don't do this, They don't have the top 3 plays on SportsCenter Top 10 and then also the top 3 plays on the whatever the You've Got to Be Kidding Me, What Was That compilation.
Come on, man.
There you go. He's on Come On Man and SC Top 10 in the same game. So it's very weird.
It's just a very Josh Allen reminiscent game where you're just like, he did not play well. How many points did he have? Oh my gosh, he had 30.
Right. That's exactly what happened. And I think that will continue to happen because you've got the rushing production, but then apparently also the downfield element that sometimes he's just going to make plays that the defense can't do anything about, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And Anthony Richardson for fantasy, the real deal. Also, Jonathan Taylor had not an incredible game, but he had 100% of the backfield work.
Right.
100%. All the targets, which were none now that I'm looking at it, but no other running back on the team touched the ball.
Yeah. And I think, too, people might be panicking a bit on Michael Pittman. He still had 8 targets. So
he led the team in targets by pretty much double.
Right. So, I think
they only threw the ball 19 times.
Get some of this.
So it's actually
Yeah.
like a 43% target share if you think about it.
Right. You're going to get this sometimes probably with Richardson where it's like, hey, he just wasn't super great overall as a passer today. And Michael Pittman just might not benefit from the big play. And, that's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah. I think we kind of
Um,
know more or less what to expect from this Colts offense from going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. For the Texans, I think I know what to expect from the Texans offense moving forward. I don't know about you, but week one
I don't
clarified
know
a little bit.
exactly all we learned. I know we learned Joe Mixon is a beast, and he's going to have a really good season in that offense if he can stay healthy. I think, not that he wasn't already, but Nico's the best receiver in that offense. But keep in mind, the targets were very evenly split between the three receivers. And I guess we kind of expected it. I mean, Nico had 8, Dell had 7, Diggs had 6. Diggs got the touchdowns, was tied with Nico for catches. Nico was easily the deep threat. He had a great game, 117. Dell, I guess he just didn't get lucky with the catches. And that's probably going to happen in this offense is which one's going to score the touchdown. And that's the one that you're going to want to have.
Yeah, I saw the air yards for this game, and Nico and Tank Dell both were over 100 air yards in this game. And Stephon Diggs, I think, was at 10. So there's a clear difference in roles in the offense. Stephon Diggs is going to be working in the slot closer to the line of scrimmage, probably, like we saw, a red zone threat. And Nico Collins
which is a very
going to work.
prominent fantasy role.
Yes, it certainly can be a fantasy relevant role. Tank Dell, I think, is the deep threat. Obviously, he's better than just labeling him as a deep threat. He's more than that. But in this offense, I think he operates more as a deep threat. Nico Collins, to me, is a locked-in number 1 receiver, top 12 for fantasy. I think he's going to be great this year. And I think he's going to be the only guy you can count on week in and week out. And I think Diggs and Dell are going to probably flip-flop depending on if Tank Dell gets a deep ball.
Yeah. I think Diggs is the safer floor guy, especially with his role. Obviously, I think Stroud trusts him. He's going to have a red zone role. He's going to be the guy, third down and short. Stroud's looking at him. But there's going to be games where Dell is the one who catches that long touchdown. And so I think, Diggs is going to have the safer floor, and Dell's going to be a little bit more volatile, but with a high ceiling.
Right. Want to hop over here to Dolphins and Jaguars.
Another crazy game, dude.
Super wild game. The Dolphins ended up winning this one 20-17. Should we start just spicy from the get-go?
Yeah, sure. We went after AR last one. We'll go after the other one this time.
Okay, I've got
Josh
a
is in
DeVon
heaven
Achane
right now.
take. I'm feeling very, very good right now. DeVon Achane managed to be a top 5 running back with 24 yards rushing, which is so fantastic and incredible and everything you hoped it would be because he had 7 catches for 76 yards. He had the red zone touchdown. And despite the fact that the offense kind of sucked in this game, DeVon Achane was awesome for fantasy football. And I think with his history, where last year he was the most efficient running back ever on a per touch basis, I'm not really worried about the fact that he was 2.4 yards a carry. Honestly, mostly because nobody else was good running the ball either. It wasn't like Raheem Mostert was good and Achane wasn't. Mostert was 6 carries for 9 yards.
Jeff Wilson had more yards on half the carries.
Right. Jeff Wilson
was
that
dude.
Fairly decent. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. As a team, it was 3 yards a carry. It wasn't super great. My take, though, is due to the running back landscape being what it is, outside of the locked-in ones, the Christian McCaffreys, Bijans, Brees Halls, I'm not sure there's another running back I'd rather have right now.
I know we talked about it beforehand. You have him over Taylor. I still am a little hesitant to put him above him. I would put him probably around even right now in a PPR league. In half PPR, non-PPR, a little more debate there.
Yeah.
I will say he is already hurt. He is a game-time decision for Thursday night.
He is.
He literally is a game-time decision. I'm looking at the story right now. So
yeah, no, he is.
But he's got the red zone work. He's got the receiving work. It's an amazing offense. Yeah, I think if you put him and Taylor side by side, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I was very excited about what happened with DeVon Achane because I have been a champion of Achane's from the get-go. I was terrified that this was going to be a Cam Akers 2.0 situation, and we were going to come into the season, and he was just going to be like a gadget guy, and he was going to play on like 40% of snaps, and I was just going to be devastated. And he's not. He's the lead back for this offense that even though it wasn't good on Sunday, it's going to be much better moving forward.
I don't think there's a ton to talk about with Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. We know what they are.
No.
We know what they can do. Jaguars is a few more things to talk about.
Yeah. My main takeaway, I don't know where you want to go with this. My main question mark here was the running back work.
Yeah. I don't really know what happened there. I know they had even splits. I know ETN got the red zone work, but Bigsby looked pretty good.
Yeah, Bigsby looked good on a per-touch basis. ETN should have had 2 touchdowns. He fumbled into the end zone on the 1-yard line, where if he would have just held onto the ball, he would have fallen in the end zone and scored. So there's that. But, yeah, no, Bigsby looked better running the ball, which is not what you really want to see. And I don't know how that translates moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, ETN was still the passing down guy. I'm not panicking and be like, oh, it's a 50-50 split. No, I think ETN is still the lead back there, but it's something to monitor going forward for sure. Now, the receiving game is really interesting for the Jags. Christian Kirk, I started him in the league. I'm upset about it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm upset.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr., instant chemistry with Trevor.
Yep.
I don't know what to read into that right now.
I don't know if I should read into the pass catchers or if I should read into Trevor Lawrence, because Trevor Lawrence kind of low-key sucked. And
well, they were
I think the receivers
good in the first
benefited.
half and then just absolutely fell apart in the second half. They did nothing.
That sounds so familiar, doesn't it? That sounds like something the Jaguars do every single year. They start out hot, and then they fall apart.
Except they just condensed it to game 1 versus like the first 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to read into this because I don't want to read into the fact that they didn't throw the ball a ton, and when they did throw the ball, they weren't super efficient doing it. But like with the numbers we've got, our highest target earner was with 4 targets, and it was a 3-way tie between Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk, and Evan Ingram.
And between that, so it's 12 targets and only 6 catches between the 3 of them, too.
Yeah, like that feels like that will never happen again. So
I don't know, man.
I'm not sure I will.
The Dolphins
read
probably have a
into it
good
ton.
defense. I don't know if they have an elite defense.
No, I don't think they do. It's just such a weird outcome where it feels like it's one of those outliers in terms of efficiency. I'll grant you, if you want to get really excited about Brian Thomas, that's great. Like, I think he showed what you want to see, caught all of his targets, scored a touchdown. That was exciting.
Yeah, that was really good.
But other than that, I don't know what to take from this.
I think this is another one. Week 2. Let's see what happens, because week 1 is just that. It's an odd week.
Let's go over here to the Saints and the Panthers. I don't really want to talk about this game.
I don't think we need to spend a ton of time here. The Panthers, people hyped them up, I guess, some with the new coach, and I guess I get it with the added weapons, new coach. It's still just horrible all around. There's almost no positives to take away from this. They didn't look like an NFL team. They did not look like a team that even deserved to be on the field with the other team. It was that big of a difference.
You knew it was bad when in the first snap of the season, Bryce Young threw an interception.
Yeah.
And then it got worse.
And Derek Carr looked like Patrick Mahomes or somebody out there. Like his first pass was a 59-yarder to Rashid Shaheed. People are freaking out about Chris Olave, and like, I don't even know what to tell you about Chris Olave, because like they didn't need him. He didn't have to do anything, and they won by 37 points.
Yeah, that was a game script thing.
I don't. It was weird for sure, and it's another thing that's like I'm keeping my eye on it, but I'm not freaking out about it, because like how often do NFL teams win by 37 points? It's
not often.
Definitely a wait. It's definitely I want to wait till week 2 for all these guys before I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Kamara looked good.
Vikings Giants.
Kamara looked great. I'll say that.
Yeah. Kamara did look good. Vikings Giants. Vikings won this 28-6. Sam Darnold looked like the second coming.
Of
Daniel
what?
Jones.
The second coming of a Taco Bell you ate this morning. Like, that's what he looked like, the second coming of.
Telling me he didn't look like the second coming of Jesus out there?
Not. That could be borderline blasphemous given how he played.
Sam Darnold wasn't that bad.
Oh, you talking about Sam Darnold? I thought you were talking about Daniel Jones.
Yeah, no, Sam Darnold. Daniel Jones looked like the second coming of Taco Bell that you had this morning. Yes, I will agree with that.
No, Sam Darnold finally at least has an offensive coordinator or an offensive coach who knows what he's doing. Kevin O'Connell is a really good head coach. And also, he's never played with someone like Justin Jefferson before. So that helps. Aaron Jones looked really good. Another one I don't want to read a ton into for the Vikings side, because the Giants were just that bad. Like, Malik Neighbors is going to Antonio Brown us, and he's going to quit mid-game.
Dude, he might. Daniel Jones had the worst outing by an NFL quarterback on Sunday. Malik Neighbors was throwing him under the bus after the game, too, where the reporters were asking him, like, what happened? I think it was a specific play. They were asking him, what happened on this play? And he was like, dude, I don't know. I was just doing my job.
I'm just trying to get open, man.
Sounded like a 5-year vet already.
I mean, I agree with Landon said it in the last episode, because they're playing the Giants next week, and they're playing the Commanders next week. There's too many names in my head right now. They are playing the Commanders, who have a terrible pass defense. And he said if Daniel Jones doesn't have at least 15 points, you can, in 12-team Superflex leagues, you can drop him.
Oh.
You can drop him. That's how bad he is.
So bad. They will be drafting a quarterback. I'm going to lock that one in now. They will be drafting a quarterback. Start watching
the
Quinn
odds-on
Ewers
favorite
tape.
right
That's
now.
what I would
Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck. Just look at him.
Yeah. Malik Neighbors looked very good for me. 5 for 66.
He was the best looking rookie.
The offense. He looked. I think he looked really good considering the situation.
I think this is kind of along the lines we expected too. Like he's going to be hit or miss, but with just his style of play, even in a bad offense, he can do the thing.
Right. Let's go over here to the Raiders and the Chargers. Chargers monkey stomped the Raiders in this one. And our boy Justin Herbert had 144 yards passing.
Jim Harbaugh did exactly what he said he was going to do. We're going to run the ball and we're going to play good defense. And it might come at the expense of Justin Herbert.
Yeah, but we did say, I know we're a Justin Herbert podcast here. I know we are big Justin Herbert fans. We did say there comes a point where somebody is going to be good in the offense because the fantasy community was out on the passing attack and the rushing attack. And I specifically remember saying, if the passing game is not super duper effective, it's because the running game will be, or vice versa. One of the two is going to be true. I just don't really know which. And you want to buy into talent. And so Justin Herbert being what he is, it's like he'll be fine. But as we saw Sunday, the rushing attack was incredible. And J.K. Dobbins had 135 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah. No, J.K., I don't want to say he's back, but they're going up against the Panthers next week. I'm like, you're going to see the same thing. They're just going to steamroll the Panthers next week.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Herbert's not going to have to do a whole lot. Ladd McConkey looked decent. Quentin Johnston actually caught a pass.
He did not look bad. Dude, he looked like an average NFL receiver.
He didn't look great. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No. I didn't say great. I said average NFL receiver. A run-of-the-mill.
You didn't look like the worst player on the field.
There you go. That's what you wanted to see. It's like, I know this guy is not the worst player they have. But
Quentin Johnston gets the gold star. You did it this week. You played a game.
You showed up and you didn't look like a complete and utter bum.
Yeah. So,
but yeah,
it's another one I don't want to read a ton into just yet. Justin Herbert, he was efficient, wasn't super explosive, but their passing attack just with their receivers is going to struggle to be explosive for a while.
Yeah. My other takeaway is this is a playoff team. This is a very good team that will be playing a playoff game.
Their defense can play like that, and the offense just is efficient. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. My main takeaway for the Raiders is that Brock Bowers is going to be a massive problem in fantasy football. He had 8 targets, 6 catches for 58 yards in a game in which their offense mostly stunk. He was
the focal point.
Awesome.
Alexander Madison, decent game out of the backfield, side note, but...
Oh, he did. Yeah. He had a good day receiving. I don't know about actually running the ball, but...
Well, if they're going to get beat like this, he's going to catch a lot of passes because they're always going to be down and throwing the ball.
Fair point. Yeah, my really only thing for them I was excited about was, they have a dude in Brock Bowers, and they're using him. That was what I was really hoping for. It's
no slow
are you
start
going to use
here.
him? And they are.
He popped off right away.
Yeah, he was awesome instantly. Okay, Broncos Seahawks.
Rookie quarterback didn't look good.
He didn't look good, but I watched a good portion of this game, and he didn't really look bad either, even though the stats are, like, horrific. It was not... Like, Daniel Jones looked so much worse with his, game than Bo Nix did, and Bo Nix's stats are worse. So, I don't know that I would read a ton into it, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's another wait-and-see situation. Your boy Cortland Sutton had 12 targets. Only 4 catches, but he's had 12 targets.
Yeah.
The backfield situation, something to keep monitoring. It looked like a 50-50 split between McLaughlin and Javonte Williams. So concerning there, don't love it.
Yeah, I don't love that either. On the Seahawks side of this, it was not a great outing on offense. They ended up winning, but
K9 is that dude, though.
Oh, he was fantastic. I guess really it's the passing game kind of stunk. Tyler Lockett was okay, but everybody else was awful. JSN was really bad. DK Metcalf.
It was encouraging to see
kind of a
JSN's
non-factor.
snap count was up there with everybody else's now. So he's playing the same amount as the rest of the guys now.
Yes, but Sunday he was running cardio,
Yes, he was.
which is that's not great.
I will say a news thing. Kenneth Walker did have an abdominal injury. Did not practice today, so that is something to monitor going forward. Zach
Interesting.
Charbonnet will be real good for fantasy if he starts.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
will be
I think the starting.
a solid RB2 if Kenneth Walker misses time.
Yeah. Cowboys Browns.
Dang
I
much to say
think-
with this. There's not much to say.
Yeah, I think this can be summarized as the Cowboys defense destroyed the Browns offense, and the game script was very bad for the Cowboys offense. So the fantasy stats are not great, but on the flip side of things, Deshaun Watson is very not good at football.
You know, it's been enough time to where we're not coming back from missing 2 years of playing time. You know, he's just a bad quarterback. Our buddy Jake sent me a video. I can't remember. It was on a podcast. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of the podcast. It's a fairly popular one. But they were saying the Deshaun Watson contract is not one of the worst NFL contracts, not one of the worst sports contracts, one of the worst contracts in history, period. And they were like, they brought up some pretty big ones. They're like, Louisiana Purchase. That was a pretty that was a pretty big one. We got all that land for like $20 back in the day.
Oh, just
So it's like
pulling over on
Louisiana-
old Napoleon.
Louisiana Purchase and then Deshaun Watson getting the Clevelands. That's like the two worst contracts ever.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's bad. What did he get? 230 guaranteed?
Do you know what his cap hit is next season if they cut him?
Like 70 million?
170 million. That's if they cut him. If they keep him, it's like 70. If they keep him at 70, it's like 170 if they cut him.
That is the cap. That is the whole salary cap.
Yeah, you would cut
One
him.
player.
You would cut him, not have him on the team, and then you have 80 million to put together something for the rest of the team.
Oh,
Like you're paying
that
every
is
player
crippling.
basically $1 million. Like everyone's getting league minimum. The whole team is.
oh, that's so bad. That is crippling.
They can't get rid
Oh,
of him.
that's bad. Yeah.
They can't get
No,
rid
they
of him.
can't. He is absolutely awful, and they can't do anything about it. Oh,
It is
yikes.
shocking.
Okay.
Shocking.
But
yeah, that's all.
Commanders Buccaneers.
Yes. I want to talk about this one.
But take the floor. I know you have many thoughts.
Oh. You were high on your boy Achane and Anthony Richardson. I was high on Jaden Daniels and am even higher now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you watched the game, but the Commanders'
A
defense
fair bit.
is bad. Like bad. Really, really, really bad. So they're going to give up a lot of points every single week. Jaden Daniels, I don't know if you know this, Josh, had 88 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns and 16 carries. Is that good for fantasy?
Oh, that's quite good.
That's quite good. That's amazing for fantasy. So, do some math with me in our heads with you. You have a very, very bad defense.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a quarterback who's going to run the ball a lot and has to move the ball for his team to even have a chance. What does that mean for fantasy success?
That means league winner, ladies and gentlemen.
That is the ideal equation you want to see, is a bad defense and a running quarterback, and they're going to pop off. I got Jaden Daniels, a borderline top 5 quarterback for fantasy rest of the season.
Yeah. So the thing that I wanted to see with him, that I did see, was that he was efficient passing the ball. He didn't force anything. He took what the defense was going to give him, and it resulted in 184 yards passing. But
17 to
really,
24.
the main takeaway, right, very efficient. The main thing was the rushing, the 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. And not only, it wasn't like these 2 touchdowns were 20-yard runs that he just, made an amazing play. It wasn't like Lamar Jackson rushing. It was Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts rushing, where they get on the 2-yard line and Jaden Daniels is running the ball in.
He had 3 goal line carries on Sunday, which led the NFL, not of quarterbacks, quarterbacks and running backs. He had the most goal line carries, which was 3.
That's great.
So now I will say, you can say it, and rightfully so, he is a little slimmer. The health concerns do worry you. He looks like Gumby trying to slide. It's really ugly. I don't like watching that. But, man, as long as he stays healthy, holy smokes, is he going to put up fantasy numbers.
Yeah. On the flip side with the Buccaneers, really the only thing that I found interesting, because they were great, and like you said, Washington's defense is really bad. So the Buccaneers had themselves a day. The only thing I noticed that I found extremely interesting was the fact that Rachaad White continued how he has continued for a couple years now in being a terrible rusher of the football. Still very good catching the ball, but awful running the ball.
Volume in receiving,
But they
man.
drafted all in receiving. But they drafted this little dude from Oregon named Bucky Irving, who came in and had 9 carries for 62 yards, popped a 30-yarder in there. Just had juice that Rachaad White couldn't dream of running the ball. And I think that is worth noting.
That's
Waivers
crazy,
have
is we
now
did
already
not
come and
think
gone, but
Bucky Irving had juice either. Like, he was slow in the combine.
no, but it's crazy because you watch the tape and he looked fast and shifty, but then the combine came and he was slow, and it was very
Dude ran
weird.
like a 4.7. You're like, what? That was a 4.3 guy for sure.
Yeah. No, I really did think he was a 4.3 guy based on his tape, and then he was slow, and it was very odd. But then when games count, he looked good again, and he looked fast and shifty. So I guess maybe the combine was a bit of a fluke, but Bucky Irving might be very, very feisty in this backfield, and Rachaad White is not doing himself favors by sucking running the football.
Yeah, no, it is something to monitor going forward. I'm not panicking on Rachaad White for fantasy by any means, but Irving did not look bad. He did not. I would also like to point out that that the Bucs were true to their word, and the regression that people talk about with touchdowns happened for Chris Godwin. He played in the slot. He got 8 targets. He caught 8 balls, and he scored a touchdown.
Yep.
So that's really good for him.
Looked pretty good. Looked pretty good. Let's go over here to the Rams and the Lions, the Sunday night game.
Yes.
Great game.
Yes.
The Lions ended up winning 26-20. You tell me where we're going to go from here, because there's several things worth talking about with this one.
All right, let's switch things up. Let's start on the Lions side. Dave Montgomery, awesome, pounding the rock, beast. They lean on him when they're trying to grind it out, and it wasn't to the exclusion of Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs still came out. He had 11 carries, 40 yards, also had a rushing touchdown, and he had the 6 targets out of the backfield. I kind of expect this moving forward. You're going to see Gibbs get all the passing work, and you're going to see Monty carrying it in between the tackles. I will say Gibbs still does have a red zone role, so that hasn't gone anywhere. Yeah, I think they're both very viable running backs. Sam Laporta, was all right. Where it gets interesting is Jamison Williams with 9 targets and 120 receiving yards.
That was what I wanted to highlight as well, because that was wild.
And
obviously,
Amon-Ra St. Brown had 3 catches for 13 yards.
Yeah. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown being excluded from the offense is not something anybody can expect. But it was really interesting that Jamison Williams seemed like he was fully integrated into the offense for the first time ever. And it wasn't like it sort of was a one-off ramp up during the season. Like, this was week 1. They schemed this up. This was a part of the plan to get Jamison Williams involved. And not only was he involved, he produced. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
so
he looked like a good receiver.
He looked very good. So I don't know what this means prescriptively for fantasy leagues, other than Jamison Williams is now definitely somebody you can consider as a flex option. I just don't know what it means for Amon-Ra. I don't know what it means for Laporta, but it's very interesting.
I'm not scared off Amon-Ra. I'll say that. This feels more like a fluke game than anything else, because Amon-Ra, ever since he broke out as a rookie, has brought it every single game. Eventually, you're going to have a bad game, and he had a bad game. He just wasn't super targeted. Maybe the Rams did some stuff defensively to try to take him away. I'm not worried about it. I'm not moving him down my rankings for redraft or anything. You draft Amon-Ra, you're going to start Amon-Ra. He's going to be fine.
On the Rams side of things, Puka Nacua obviously is going on IR with a knee injury, but as soon as he left the game, he was very efficient in his limited run. He had 4 catches for 35 yards on 4 targets, looked very integrated into the offense. Then he goes out, and Cooper Kupp turned into 2021 Triple Crown Cooper Kupp, finished with 21 targets. Yes, 21 targets, 14 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown.
Most running backs don't get 21 carries. Josh Allen only threw 23 passes. He had 21 targets.
That's truly insanity. And yet, Matthew Stafford seems to do this every year. Remember, Puka Nacua had a 20-target game. Or was it a 19-target? It was something like that.
He had a 20-target game. He had like 15 targets week 1, and then he had 20 targets week 2. This is when Kupp was still starting the season on IR.
So, crazy town. But I guess, I don't know where you have Kupp ranked for at least the 4-week stint that now Puka Nacua is on IR, but he's got to be a top 5 receiver, no?
Oh, he's higher than that. He's 3 for me.
3?
He's 3. I got, and he's in tier 1, 3. Like, week 1 starters, I got like CD, or I got Tyreek, CD, and Kupp, and I might move Kupp ahead of CD. That was crazy. And they said that Puka might miss more than 4 games. McVay said that today, that he could miss more than 4. Dude, he's back. Like, you and I went and saw the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. I don't know if is it safe for me to give spoilers for that now, I guess. The scene where Deadpool and Wolverine, they go to the whatever hideout in this place is, and Blade and Gambit walk in, and the beat just absolutely drops when they walk in. That's what I was like hearing in my head when Cooper Kupp was just getting like every single target. Like, he is back in the biggest way possible. He is back.
Yeah. No, that was wild. Cooper Kupp owners rejoice, because at least for 4 weeks, maybe 5, maybe 6.
Minimum 4 weeks.
Until he gets hurt himself, he's going to be great.
And granted, Puka was probably banged up going into the game and hampered by that, but he was still getting targets when Puka was playing. So, like, I mean, Kupp had 5 targets on, like, the first 2 drives. So it wasn't, and Puka played those drives too, so it's not like he was a secondary piece. It was him and Puka are these focal points.
Right. Anything else on that one before we go to the final game of the week?
No, I will say too, to quell the Kyron Williams fantasy owners. He was an absolute workhorse, got basically everything out of that backfield.
Yeah. All right, 49ers Jets. The 49ers cleaned up the Jets, trounced them. Jordan Mason's probably the story of this game. Came in kind of last minute with the Christian McCaffrey injury.
Did you see
and
what
had
he said
147
in the
yards.
post game?
Which part?
They because they didn't announce this until like the day of that like everybody said McCaffrey's going to play, McCaffrey's going to play, McCaffrey's going to play, and then right before the game they're like, oh, McCaffrey's out. And you're like, wait, what? And then they asked Jordan Mason in the post game, like, when did you know you were going to start? And he said Friday.
So they clarified. Kyle Shanahan told him he was going to have an increased role on Friday. Jordan Mason misspoke, and then it spiraled.
Did
They
he
really
misspeak
thought McCaffrey
or
was going to play.
did he misspeak
Maybe.
or Shanahan pulled him aside like, dude, you got to fix this now.
Maybe they're covering their butts a little bit because if you know Christian McCaffrey's not going to play on Friday, that
You
is an
said
issue with the league.
What?
Yeah. I don't know. Regardless, I think they had an inkling it might have been tough for McCaffrey to go on Monday, before Monday, but he was a late scratch. And so Mason goes in and has dang near 150 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, it wasn't like he filled in for McCaffrey. He looked good. He looked very good.
Very good. Looked very, very good. For the Jets, because I don't really have a whole lot else to say about the 49ers other than
No, you
it kind of was
expected
same old,
what
same
you
old.
expected. I mean, Ayuk didn't look great. He dropped an easy touchdown. It is what it is. He missed training camp. The reps aren't there. It'll get better with time.
Yeah. With the Jets, it seems very obvious that their offensive attack is funneled through two players. It is going through Brees
and
Hall
only two
and
players.
Garrett Wilson. And only two players. I know Alan Lazard ended up with 9 targets, but
He also had a bunch
Alan
in
Lazard is
garbage
not.
time.
yeah, he's not a focal point here. Garrett Wilson was getting so targeted. He had 11 targets, and I think if this game were close, he might have had 15 or 16.
Yeah. No, they kind of got just stomped in the second half, couldn't get anything going. So most of that was in the first half. I mean, it's just nice to see Garrett Wilson with a quarterback and Brees Hall with this just insane volume and pass catching. It's honestly not great for real life, but for fantasy, Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall are going to eat with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. They're going to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think bright things are ahead for those two, especially Garrett Wilson, because I know Rodgers kind of looked a little rusty. They were playing the 49ers, which that's a tough defense. So you're not going to look your best against them. But it was pretty encouraging to see Garrett Wilson be so dominant and so involved. I mean, they were getting him in motion. They were, basically, I think it came out the day after that Aaron Rodgers checked there was an in route that Garrett Wilson ran on third down, that it was a check at the line by Rodgers, and he did the check wrong, but Garrett Wilson got open so fast that it didn't matter that Aaron Rodgers put the incorrect route combination on the field. He basically had everybody on the field run an in route, which is not what you want, but Garrett Wilson got open so fast it didn't matter. And he gets him for like a 14-yard gain.
Too good of a receiver.
Yeah, he made everybody look good. So that was exciting to see. He's going to be very, very good for fantasy this year.
Yeah, no, I've got a few shares of Garrett Wilson, and I'm very excited.
Any overarching takeaways from week 1 fantasy football now that we have hit every game in the week 1 slate?
I will say it's week 2 is going to be far more telling. It's what I'm excited about, because then you're going to see some teams like actual tendencies per se. Now, the exception being the Bengals, we're not going to know what they are till about week 8. But the rest of the league, the normal teams, we should have a much better idea of what to expect from them moving forward.
Yeah, very excited about it. I'm stoked for fantasy football. this year. It looks like the teams are going to perform, and we're going to be in some playoff races down the stretch this season, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. I've lost in the two main leagues, Mully and League of Ordinary Gentlemen. Got smoked bad. So.
You got beat in Gentlemen by the worst team in the league.
And not like the worst team in the league by like a little, like the worst team by far. But for whatever reason, every player he had scored. Everybody.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
man.
my juggernaut team is, it's got Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow on it. They did nothing, so that's freaking great.
It's a fickle mistress, fantasy football is. That'll do it from us. I am very happy. Fantasy football's back. We had our son. Everything's just coming up aces for me right now. I'm very excited about it. Great week for me. That'll do it from us. We'll see all of you guys in the next episode. Have a good one, everybody.